Good morning, everyone. Great to see everyone here. I'm Anthony Freud, General Director of Lyric Opera, and it's a pleasure to welcome all of our guests here today, as well as those tuning in via our live web stream. We'll be discussing today two major artistic projects for the company. Once everyone has given their comments, all of us would be happy to take questions from any of the media representatives. Together with our music director, Sir Andrew Davis, I'm announcing today that Lyric Opera will present a new production of Richard Wagner's monumental four-opera masterpiece, Der Ring des Nibelungen, The Ring of the Nibelung, starting in 2016-17. As in its two previous presentations at Lyric, The Ring will be staged as individual operas. Das Rheingold 2016-17 season, Die Walküre in the 2017-18 season, Siegfried in 18-19, and then the company will conclude its 19-20 season with individual performances of Götterdämmerung prior to presenting three complete ring cycles. And I'm joined today by the production's formidable creative team. Sir Andrew Davis, who will conduct, David Pountney, the director, set designer Johan Engels, costume designer Marie-Jeanne Lecker, and lighting designer Fabrice Cabour. I'm thrilled to announce that we have two internationally celebrated artists who will be central to the success of this production. Our soprano, Christine Goerke, who will be singing Brunhilde and is with us today, and bass baritone Eric Owens, who will make his role debut as Wotan. Eric is listening to us now, we hope, and will be joining us later via Skype, the Skype gods permitting. Wagner's Ring is one of the most iconic and fascinating music and stage works ever created. It represents the high watermark of our art form, unique in its scale, its complexity, its fascination, and indeed in its ability to hook an audience. Experiencing a ring cycle is one of the most life-transforming artistic experiences the world has to offer, and I'm absolutely thrilled with the team that we have assembled to create that experience at Lyric. Andrew.
Yes, the Ring truly, of course, is one of the most notable achievements, most extraordinary achievements, not only in music, but really in the whole of Western culture. Wagner takes the Nordic sagas and made them, for his time, extremely modern. I just went on a trip and I thought, I need to take something to read with me, and completely at random, it seemed, but perhaps my subconscious was prompting me, I took the Odyssey with me. And of course, what's fascinating is to look at Homer's gods and then to look at Wagner's gods, and they're really quite remarkably similar in some ways. They're all very badly behaved and sort of sow the seeds of their own destruction in a way. And that's, of course, what the Ring is all about. So there are great moral questions, ethical questions that are raised during the course of the Ring, and it's really about the demise of the gods and the rise of man at its root. I mean, this is the gods, because of their actions, as I say, sowed the seeds of their own destruction, and who should appear to take over but Siegfried, who represents the best of the aspirations of mankind. And I think this is one of the most fascinating aspects of the piece. Of course, there are all sorts of issues: loyalty, love, independence, looking for something new that really make the piece speak to any age, and certainly to our own.
Our director, David Pountney, is an artist of immense distinction and integrity, with whom I've collaborated on a regular basis over nearly 20 years, first at Welsh National Opera and then at Houston Grand Opera. He has had a long and distinguished career in an enormously wide repertoire, directing productions ranging from the intimate to the spectacular. At Lyric, he's previously directed Philip Glass's Satyagraha and Kurt Weill's Street Scene. Among David's credits in Wagner are The Valkyrie at English National Opera, where he was director of productions, Tristan und Isolde at Cologne Opera, and The Flying Dutchman at Welsh National Opera, where he's currently executive and artistic director. His productions worldwide have encompassed a staggering stylistic range, including many world premieres. David has made an enormously significant contribution to Czech opera, including Janacek's works, staged at Welsh National Opera, Scottish Opera, San Francisco, Vienna, and Munich. He's directed a vast range of operas all over the world. His productions have been seen in many major houses, including the Met, Deutsche Oper Berlin, Opernhaus Zurich, the Opéra National de Paris, Salzburg Festival, and the Vienna State Opera. During his tenure as intendant of Austria's Bregenz Festival, David's trailblazing productions included the 2010 world premiere of The Passenger, which was subsequently presented in Warsaw, London, and Karlsruhe in Germany, Martinu's The Greek Passion, which was reprised at Covent Garden, and Szymanowski's King Roger, which was reprised in Barcelona. David, so give us an idea of your approach to the Ring.
Well, first of all, let me say what a thrilling opportunity this is for me and for my wonderful team over there. We've been through many projects together, but this is definitely the biggest and the most exciting, and it's a kind of fulfillment of I suppose, the communal expertise that we've honed over the years with many different productions. We've already heard the word saga, and I would like to start from that point. I don't want to get into too much detail about our ideas at this point, but one thing which is very important to me is the idea of the saga as an epic narration. And I think that the process of storytelling and the method of storytelling is something that is very important to us in the way that we are developing this concept for the Ring. And the other thing I would like to emphasize is that this was a 20-year or so project for Wagner, in which he wrote down the words in the reverse order. So the Götterdämmerung was actually the first opera he wrote the words for, and Rheingold was the last. So in terms of his development as an artist, Götterdämmerung is the most old-fashioned of the four operas, and Rheingold is the most radical. And he then wrote the music in the right order, so that of the four operas, Rheingold has the most, let's say, conservative Wagnerian music, and Götterdämmerung leaps into a whole world, and he happened to have just knocked off a couple of minor masterpieces called Tristan and Meistersinger in the middle, and then started with the last part of the last act of Siegfried and Götterdämmerung. So those two pieces are by far and away the most developed in musical style. And that's why, for us, it became very important to think of these pieces as four different pieces with an interlocking narrative. So we're very much interested in celebrating the difference between those pieces as much as their similarity in terms of the characters that connect them and the incidents that connect them. So I'm really excited about the idea of a narrative ring in which the richness and diversity of these four pieces is really laid out for the audience to experience and to stimulate their imaginations.
Great. Andrew, you worked with Christine very recently in Electra.
Yes, we did, and what an absolute thrill and delight it was. Electra is one of the most demanding of all roles. It requires enormous stamina. It needs a good deal of volume at times, even with a sensitive conductor, like me keeping the orchestra down. But Christine possesses much more than this. There's a great beauty in her voice. There's an extraordinary quality of musicianship in the way she can spin a phrase that's sort of second to none, really, I would say, in in the world today, and I think she's going to be a fantastic Brunhilde, and it will be an enormous success to rank with all the other successes that you're having everywhere else. So I can't say enough about how thrilled I am that you're going to be with us for this very important event.
And say a few words about Eric, Andrew.
Eric is...
Listening.
Eric is...
We hope. There he is.
Yeah.
There he is. Look at that. A miracle.
Well, I'm an immense fan of Eric. He's such a... just sit there and behave yourself. I'm such an enormous fan of Eric. I mean, his flexibility is extraordinary. He sings an incredible variety and a range of repertoire, for one thing. His Alberich in the Met Ring was unbelievably impressive. We've worked together a couple of times, and I even asked if he could do something a few days ago, which he couldn't, unfortunately. But and hearing his Alberich, well, we were both struck by the fact that this is a great Alberich, but it's going to be an even greater Wotan. So it was with great pleasure that we approached him, and he was thrilled, and I think is also very excited at the idea that we will build up this ring over a number of years, and I can't say enough about how delighted I am.
Christine, I think it was shortly before Elektra opened, in the fall of 2012, that I offered you Brunhilde in our new ring. How did you feel about that?
Slightly excited. I can't actually repeat what I said because that would be rude, but it was an expletive. I couldn't be more excited about this. I'm so grateful, and in fact, what I was told was, you mustn't say anything. So later that day, when Maestro came up to talk to me, I pretended not to know what he was talking about. He said, "You can tell me." Sorry. I'm completely overjoyed. It's such an honor to be part of this. I have been asked to be part of a few rings in the last year or so, which every single one of them, it's a remarkable honor, but this is the first time I'm going to have an opportunity to be able to build something from the ground up, and to be able to do it in this house with this creative team. It's more than an honor, it's a joy, and I feel incredibly grateful.
As you know, we have a press conference scheduled for January 27th, at which we will be announcing our new season. However, the situation with one of our upcoming works for the 60th anniversary season, The Passenger, by Mieczysław Weinberg, is unique. This extraordinary work will be the final offering in Lyric's 60th anniversary season. It has the same creative team as our new ring, and so we thought it was appropriate to speak about it to you today while that artistic team is here in Chicago. The Passenger has its North American premiere tomorrow night, January 18th, at Houston Grand Opera. It'll subsequently be seen by the Park Avenue Armory and the Lincoln Center Festival in New York, July 10 to 13 of this year. Those performances will be given in English in a translation by David. I first saw The Passenger in David's production in Bregenz in 2010, which was the piece's world staged premiere. I was so blown away by both the piece and the production that I immediately spoke to David about presenting it at Houston Grand Opera, where I was general director at the time. David and Johann Engels had been working with me in Houston the previous season and had alerted me to the piece, which is when I became aware of it for the first time. When we perform it here at Lyric, there'll be a number of differences between the performances this year and ours. The cast is almost completely different, and we'll be announcing details of our cast at the press conference on January 27th. Houston will be performing it entirely in English, and we'll be performing it in multiple languages. This is the way it was done in Bregenz, and I believe very strongly in the benefits of that. The piece was originally written in Russian, but David in Bregenz decided to have all the characters singing in their own languages. So the German characters sing in German, the kind of Greek chorus of men will sing in Russian, and through the course of the performance, we'll hear Polish, Yiddish, Greek, French, English, as well as German and Russian. Let me give you a brief outline of the plot. It's set on an ocean liner in the early 1960s. Walter, a West German diplomat, and Lisa, his new wife, are on board on their way to Brazil for a diplomatic posting. A couple of days into the journey, Lisa goes absolutely pale when she thinks she recognizes a fellow passenger. Unbeknownst to her husband, Lisa, during the war, was an SS overseer in Auschwitz, and the passenger she thinks she recognizes is Marta, a former inmate whose death she thought she had brought about. The stage action moves between two realms, from the pristine deck of the ocean liner on the upper level to the horrors of the death camp below.